Bansou Sentai Kizunager Generations, The Brown Ranger and the Curse of Goala. The story begins in the Sun Forest. Raniya, Kizuna Gold, and Azir, Kizuna Orange, are watching over Luxem to keep it safe after Clonext, the mushroom breakup fiend, tried to poison the people back at Nueva Lost City to rebuild the Zetsu Enders, but she head towards the Hall of Amen to pray for her father, Raven, who she promises to keep her people safe from the forces of evil as she tells him her stories about becoming the 7th Amen user, battling against the Demon Queen, marrying to Azir, and becoming a part of the Kizunagers to create a new world. Just then, Raniya heard screaming outside of the palace as she runs towards the village to see that the elves were attacked by a man named Kuuga Van Godo who arrived at Luxem to seek revenge on Raniya's family as he used the fragment piece of the Tomb of the Undead to bring back the monsters called Revives, Scarab Revive, Falcon Revive, Jackal Revive, and Scorpion Revive, from inside of the glyph badges to assist him. So now Raniya and Azir pull out their bond plates and insert them into their Kizuna braces to transform into Kizuna Gold and Orange to battle against Kuuga and his Revive monsters to save the people of Luxem from danger. Just then, Kuuga pulls out his own version of the Amen buckle called the Goala buckle with the Dark Sphinx glyph badge to transform into the dark relief known as Goala to face Raniya and Azir on his own to finally conquer the Sun Forest. So now Kuuga used the Goda symbolizer, Caliber mode, to slash at Raniya and Azir to weaken them a bit to perform the Dark Pyramid attacker to finally defeat them for good. But Raniya gets back up and pulls out the Amen buckle and the Sphinx glyph badge to transform into Amen to take down Kuuga on her own. Kuuga explains to Raniya that he was the second user of the Amen buckle who was trusted by Taiyo Anuma after the Demon Queen was first defeated, but he only used Amen's power for wealth, popularity, and respect around the kingdom. But eventually Raniya's ancestors decided to fight back against Kuuga to take back the Amen buckle and banish Kuuga to the deepest parts of the Sun Forest, which drove him to originally find the Tomb of the Undead where the Undead King was resting for centuries as it cursed him to walk around the deserts as an immortal wanderer. This made Raniya shocked to learn that Kuuga was one of the Amen users, which gives him the opportunity to shoot at Raniya down to the ground with his Goda symbolizer, Cannon mode, to allow him to finish her for good. But then a spirit came out from the fragment piece and transported Raniya and Azir to safety as they are teleported to the temple where the Tomb of the Undead was once stored in. As Raniya and Azir were wondering who teleported them, they were shocked to find out that the person who saved them is Raniya's father, Raven, who returned as a spirit from Hakabaka alongside the other deceased fathers, Yihdra Vilm, Yihdra's father, Belga Anuma Kukija, Azir's father, and Emperor Goddess, Teltina's father, as they explained to Raniya and Azir about the tales of Taiyo's adventure as Amen before he was killed by the Undead King and was transported to another world. They explained to Raniya and Azir that Taiyo and his colleagues discovered the Amen buckle and the glyph badges in an ancient ruins inside of the Tomb of the Undead Army where the Undead King's mummified body has been resting for centuries. But by opening the tomb awakened the Undead King from his eternal slumber and slaughtered Taiyo's friends, which caused him to escape the ruins with the Amen buckle to do some research. Eventually, Taiyo learned that the glyph badges are the source of sealing away the Undead King's army of revives from taking their souls as their treasures, which led to him accepting the powers of Amen to save the people of Japan from danger. This made Raniya and Azir shocked to learn more about Taiyo's past and the truth about the powers of Amen, which gives Raniya an idea on how to defeat Kuuga and save the village. Meanwhile at the falling kit, Yihdra Vilm, Kizuna Magus, and Princess Teltina, Kizuna Rise, were shocked to see their fathers again from the afterlife as Raniya and Azir ask of them to create a special bond plate to help them in their battle against Kuuga and his revives. So now Yihdra uses the royal scepter to merge the bond energy of both Raven, Hades, Bilga, and Goddess to create a special bond plate called the Symbolized Bond Plate for Azir to seal the revives back into the glyph badges. Back at the Sun Forest, Kuuga has managed to conquer half of Luxem as he orders the revives to slaughter the elves to prevent them from escaping. But then they were saved by Raniya and Azir, who showed up to put an end to Kuga's conquest as Raniya inserts the fodder bond plate into his Amen Kizuna buckle to transform into Kizuna Gold Falcadilla, while Azir inserts the symbolized bond plate into his Kizuna brace to transform into Lord Kizuna Orange to save the village from Kuuga and his revive monsters. Just then, Raven shows up with Goddess, Bilga, and Hades to assist Raniya and Azir as they merge together to become a spiritual version of the Amen Kizuna buckle and fatherly Kizuna brace for Raven to use to transform into a Kizunager known as Kizuna Brown. Just then, Raniya summons the Hyper Sphinx Claw to insert all of her glyph bond plates to perform the Hyper Sphinx Kizuna scanning charge to weaken Kuuga a bit, while Raven used the Yang Symbolizer, Axe Mode, to knock the revives down to the ground to allow Azir to summon the Hyper Beetle Cannon to perform the Lord Kizuna Almighty Burst to seal them back inside into their glyph badges. So now Raniya, Azir, and Raven join together to perform the Triple Pyramid Kizuna Attacker to finally defeat Kuuga for good as they retrieve his Goala buckle and dark glyph badges to prevent him from transforming back into Goala and summoning more revives. After Kuuga was taken to prison by the Elven Guardians for attempting to take over the Sun Forest by force, Raniya and Azir thank Raven for assisting them to save the village from being conquered as he, along with Goddess, Bilga, and Hades, returns back to the afterlife to rest in peace for eternity, but will keep watch over them to protect the new world from danger. Afterwards, at the Falling Kit, Tenrei Nikaido, Kizuna Silver, continues to run the Falling Kit on her own as she pulls out a photo of herself with Professor Patchwork, Taiyo, and Sabi from their first adventure in another world 1000 years ago. Just then, she gets a vision about the Kizunagers encountering a previous Super Sentai team in the past to save the new world from danger. But Tenrei was unable to identify which Super Sentai team they are encountering for this upcoming event, as she is being watched by an interdimensional being who plans to create a story for the Kizunagers to experience.